Stay tuned for today's episode of Breaking the Biz, an informative podcast where we dive into the world of entertainment by interviewing seasoned professionals who have made their mark in the industry. Gain invaluable insights as they share their personal journeys, offering advice on navigating the dynamic landscape of the entertainment industry. Whether you're an aspiring actor, musician, filmmaker, author, animator, or any creative soul, tune in for expert career guidance, insider tips, and first-hand accounts on breaking into the entertainment industry. Get ready to unlock the secrets behind successful careers and fuel your own passion for the limelight. Please remember to like this video and to subscribe to our channels for more great conversations.
Greetings from Breaking the Biz, brought to you by Yes I Can Unity Through Music and Education. I'm William Felber, your navigator through the intriguing universe of the entertainment industry, as revealed by the visionaries and creators who bring it to life. Stay tuned as we delve into diverse insights from the forefront of entertainment, hearing from pioneers, creators, and agents of change. Prepare for a journey filled with tales of innovation, resilience, and the undying quest for artistic brilliance.
Welcome to Breaking the Biz podcast with the Yes I Can crew. We got a great guest with us. We have Rob Rudkin, who is a 3-time Emmy-nominated music supervisor with over 16 years of experience linking music to picture, capable of executing a wide range of media projects from boardroom ideas to final product. He thrives in a fast-paced world of content production while concurrently managing multiple projects at the same time. Proven track record leading to creative teams to meet their full potential. Just some of his specialties include music supervision, commercial music clearance, business development, operations management, team building, sonic branding and strategy, original score, music rights, publishing and copyright, and end-to-end client experience. Rob, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
So I want to start right from the beginning. Obviously, you are a music lover. When did you fall in love with music? And then I want to know, when did you realize that that could become a career?
Oh man, goes way back to when I was a kid, way back to like in my parents' car. We listened to this radio station B103. I'm based in like the New York area. I'm in New Jersey right now. But there was this oldie station B103, and I grew up on the Beatles, the Turtles, all those like like British Invasion, and that was like kind of like my start to like, wow, I like music, I like hooks, I like melody. It really resonated with me. I started collecting tapes and I started collecting CDs, and now I collect records. I'm like everybody else in the world. But yeah, I mean, when then I started playing music, and I played cello in school, and I played drums and guitar on my own with my friends. And I started playing in bands in high school. Had multiple punk rock bands, and that kind of transitioned to like my thought of like, this is more than just like a little side hobby. This is something I really want to do. I didn't know yet, like, if I wanted to be on the artist side or on the business side. So I kind of set my sights at like at an early age at like working on the business side. I knew I didn't have it as an artist, but I wanted to be involved and be a part of it. So I found a school that offered a major called music industry. It was SUNY Oneonta in upstate New York, and I learned. Yeah, it was I thought I'd work for a record label or a publisher, and I graduated in 2008. And this was the time of the financial collapse. This was the time of the beginnings of Spotify and DSPs kind of disrupting the record industry. And I didn't know I was going to have an industry to go into. So, this is a long story long, but then I got a internship at CBS Sports, and I wasn't a sports guy. I was a music guy, but I had a fraternity brother who had gotten in at CBS Sports who was a sports fan and was like, hey, they have a music department and they need some help. I can put a good word in for you. So I took that internship, and it was really lucky for me because it was my senior year. So I took the internship after my senior year. So it was part of my requirement to graduate to get an internship. Got that internship at the final hour. I did the internship, then I got my diploma, and then at the end of my internship, CBS Sports was like, "Hey, do you want to just continue doing what you're doing, and we'll pay you a salary?" And I said, like, "Well, I don't have to go into the workforce and try to get a job, and in this climate, yeah, sign me up. I'll learn to love sports. Cool." And I spent 8 years there and finished up as their music director. So it was a good move, but it
I
was a lucky.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 2008, you got not only the crash, but isn't Napster right around that time as well?
Yeah, Napster. Man, I'm dating myself, but like I think, yeah, Napster was, yeah, it was like just there, like file sharing, all that is rampant within the recording industry. Then, yeah, I think Spotify was somewhere around that time too, like maybe shortly after. And I was just, it was just a big disrupting time, where the record industry wasn't going to be doing it the way that they had always done it.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, we didn't know, and I didn't, what I learned my freshman year of school in music industry program to the senior year was like complete, like it was like an industry changed in those 4 years. And then what I learned, 5 years into the industry working there, everything I learned was just out the window. So
Yeah, that's crazy. So your internship had nothing to do with, and this is something that I love when I hear about internships. Usually, it's a word of mouth, somebody, a close friend, passing along an opportunity, or it's the college, like you mentioned, with that requirement, helping
yeah,
you land the internship. So in this case, it was actually both. You had a friend who connected it, and you still fulfilled that requirement of knocking out the internship. And
yeah.
everyone wants an internship where at the end they go, "Hey, would you like the same gig and get a salary for it?" That just means you were kicking ass when you were doing the work. And that's one of the other things we talk about here is people do see good work. There is no guarantee when you go into an internship that at the end employment is guaranteed. You have to go in there and treat it as a job, treat it with all seriousness, do a good job, and people do take notice. So you get into loving sports. Talk me through being a music supervisor at CBS in the sports division.
Yeah. Again, it was kind of like related to what the kind of story I just painted. I joined the department. I had a manager, and she had been there for a very long time. She had started her career in 1974. So this was the last part of her career. And I noticed, even just starting there, what I was hired to do was, she was still, part of the department's responsibilities were to fill out and create music cue sheets for all of the programs that were airing, that we were broadcasting. So, Super Bowl, Final Fours, regular season NFL football, college basketball, golf. All those had cue sheets with them, and that was a cue sheet basically for everyone here is just basically, I like to look at it like it's almost like a timestamp. It's a record of all the music used in a program, how long it was used, the song's title, the who wrote the song, who publishes the song, um, whether it was a theme or a background instrumental. All of that factors into the royalty rate and what's paid out to the composers and publishers of the music, and that's how the music goes around in TV and film. So she was still handwriting all this stuff and like basically like getting it carriered to like ASCAP's like office. And I remember, like, this was 2008, 2009. I'm like, this there's something going on here. I need to hang out. I need to hang out here. I need to like figure out how we can update these systems again. So I look at it as like it's almost like a layup, like for me. Like I just was presented with a situation where it was like, hey, you're in this position now where you can make something better, and people like you just mentioned, people take notice to those things. So what kind of accelerated that was because my manager and the department was kind of a little behind the times. The artists weren't getting paid their performance royalties on time, and that went along for a long time, and then until finally one of the theme writer of NFL on CBS, his name is Helmut von Lichten. He wrote the iconic NFL on CBS theme. He kind of he brought up he was like, I'm not getting paid my due from all these placements that are playing nonstop over and over again in and out of commercial throughout the season. He wasn't getting paid his share, so that kind of accelerated the transition between myself and my predecessor. And right place, right time. Yeah.
And I'm so glad you brought this up because sometimes I preach stuff and people just go, yeah, well, you don't know what you're talking about. But it is just another idea to the fact of sometimes you get brought onto a company and you're being brought on to solve a problem, and sometimes they don't even realize that they have a problem. And in
Right.
your case, obviously not getting paid on time is a big problem and a big
Yeah.
red flag. So being able to expedite that excels and coming up with a way to make sure everyone's getting paid and the communication is working is absolutely vital. So needless to say, you made a huge impact. I wanted to ask you, the NFL, NBA, all of these organizations, MLB, multi-billion-dollar organizations. Am I correct when I looked up the other day, like the NFL is considered a nonprofit?
That's a great question, and that is definitely outside of my scope. I don't know, but I know that there's a lot of money in these organizations. The thought of the NFL being a nonprofit boggles my mind. I don't.
The only reason why I asked that is I have a friend who's a manager, and I want to say they reached out to use their music, but then tried to get like a nonprofit rate, which to me is ironic with how much money is definitely floating around in professional sports. Um, but when you're hearing commercials, Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us, as soon as that was hot, I saw that on NBA TNT, and you start seeing it. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper to find an artist who sounds like that versus paying an artist the proper royalties and clearance for
Yeah,
hit songs. But in your case, you were allowed to use whatever music, go after whatever, because there was
yeah, yeah, we definitely. I mean, that's like a it may be too much for this forum, but we definitely CBS did skirted with um some kind of gray area with the way we use music on the broadcast side. There's a little rule called the ephemeral rule, which basically was created in its intention was when there was music on the background in a stadium, when it's playing in the stadium and it gets into the airwaves and comes out onto the television, it was supposed to cover those kind of incidental uses. Where I worked used that rule, and all the very high paid attorneys on CBS's side kind of pushed for, well, we're gonna push that rule to the limit, and we were able to use music as long as it was in a live broadcast, used one time, never to re-air. And this was now talking about 2008, so it was a couple of years ago before streaming was really popular and all that, and all that stuff came in. So we at the time we were allowed to use music in that way. Now, when we did features, when we did pre-tape segments, like a feature on a player or a coach that would air in the halftime show or whatnot, we would license that because that would obviously not be ephemeral use. But yeah, like going to commercial break for like an NFL game, like using, let's say at the time, like the Black Keys was definitely huge at that time. We would use, their catalog all the time, going to
Okay.
break. Yeah, but they
Make
would get paid their performance royalty,
right.
from the cue sheet.
Okay. Perfect. So talk me and I also want to point out sometimes you take a job even if it's not like, what you love so much. In your case not liking sports, right? For somebody that would be like the best job in the world.
Yeah,
Um but when you have a talent and you can get your foot in the door and then use that as your vehicle to the next plateau or wherever you want to keep climbing, you have to do it and you have to take advantage. And especially in your case, how crazy and rocky the job market was in 2008. But I want to fast forward. You do 8 years there. What comes next?
yeah. So, my responsibilities at CBS grew and grew. It started as just like a cue sheet, wrangler and compiler, and then it grew to a more of a creative, role where I would, be called into the edit rooms all in New York, and everyone working on their various pieces and, features throughout the week would want to, need help with sonic direction and things like that. I had the pleasure of working on, many themes that came through. Thursday night, when CBS, launched Thursday Night Football, and we had the rights to that. We did the theme song for that. We did a rebrand of the PGA Tour, and that was a lot of fun because that was all custom composition, working with artists directly. A lot of fun. So, what comes up after CBS Sports? So in addition to that, I inherited the responsibility of kind of managing all of our production music vendors, and meeting all of the owners of the music libraries that would supply us with production music. And one of them, was a smaller company based in New York City, and they, were looking to grow. And he came to me and he was like, kind of just like vetting with me. He was just kind of like, hey, I'm trying to expand out of sports. I want to get into like true crime and reality and, things like that. Do you know anybody that could, would want to like come on board to, help me grow this thing? And I had been there for, like I said, 8 years now. Sports is cyclical, so you're kind of, after the season's over, then it all starts again, back to the NFL. And after the eighth time around that merry-go-round, I was like, you know what, I'm looking. Let's try something new. My mantra has always been kind of just say yes and figure it out after, and that's gotten me so far this far. And sometimes it gets me in trouble, but, most times it works. So I said, what about me? And he's like, oh, well, you have a pretty good gig going on. Like, I don't know, like, we talked through, and, we decided that let's do it. So I left CBS and I went to the music agency, Mybe Music, and I spent 6 years there, helping him grow, that business from, into different verticals like true crime, reality, expanding on sports, a lot of film and TV work.
It's awesome. I love it. So, and I also just want to talk about growth mindset here for a second. Sometimes I love your mantra, and it just does tell a lot about yourself, like say yes and then figure it out later. Um, you have to have that attitude and that confidence within yourself to go and try an opportunity. Like you mentioned, probably a very good gig at CBS. You had it figured out. The guess it's a merry-go-round, but it's a merry-go-round you know how to control and spin
Right.
and go very
Double,
smoothly.
yeah.
Yeah. And then starting something new, but you have everything within the wheelhouse. You're dealing with clearances, you're dealing with performance rights, like you understand that business. And that's just an example of how you can learn something, not necessarily go, hey, I'm going to be here, learn, and then peace out. But the reality is, once you learn that business, you take those skills and then you go solve another problem. So you help this business grow. And I also want to show like the fact that you stay at a place for 6 years, 8 years, like you do your time and you make sure that the job is done. So
Yeah.
once you were done there, is there an amazing project that you're extremely proud of coming out of there?
Oh man, one that comes to mind was we did the political theme for CBS. So back to like my old stomping grounds, not for sports, but for their news division. This was the 2020 theme that they still use to this day. Whenever they run any like political segment on CBS, they use this theme, and we created the score, the original piece. We won a bid, and then we took that idea and we recorded it in Thailand. Actually, we hired a 60-piece orchestra in Thailand to orchestrate the piece, and it came out beautiful. It sounded great, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. We didn't go to Thailand, but we were on the remote session. So in the middle of the night, we were here just like on a Zoom call like this, kind of giving creative direction, and oh, let's do that pass again. Let's isolate the cellos. Let's bring that up and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, that was a really rewarding creative experience.
Now, in your bio, it does mention being nominated 3 times. Is that from the work that you did with this publishing house?
Yeah. Well, two was with CBS Sports, and then one was with MIB for a CBS Sports project.
Love it.
Yeah, my loyalty to CBS Sports is, it's been going on 16 years, and I'm those people at CBS, they stay there, like you mentioned, like putting their time. Most of the people that I worked with when I started were there when I got there and are still there. So they're all my dear friends, and we create fun stuff together, whether I'm there in-house or as a contractor outside.
I love it. And again, that speaks for just being a cool, good person, but never burning bridges. And it clearly shows if you're able to go back and collaborate with the company that you were with before moving to a new company. That definitely shows, like, leaving on good terms and collaborative terms.
Yeah.
So, with those nominations, was that you composing the music, original scores? Is that placements? How's that work?
Yeah. Oh man, let me think of one of them was for Super Bowl 50. We were nominated for the opening tease of the Super Bowl, which was basically a mashup between our theme music and Aerosmith's Dream On. So that involved a clearance, that involved original composition, that involved a lot of. Look at you. In where do I fit in this whole pie? I'm like the project manager. I'm securing the rights to Aerosmith composition. I'm working with the composer of our theme, who I mentioned, Helmet, to create an original piece that mashes up, that basically blends our theme song, CBS Sports' theme song, with Dream On. It was really cool. And it was a really cool piece and a really great piece of music. That was one. The next one was for a feature that I did with a producer who's no longer with us. And it was just a great original score that I'm trying to think of what it was. You do so much content and work, you're like, oh man, like what was it? I wish I had it all written down. But it was just a great feature. And it required an original piece of music, and I sourced the composer. We went back and forth on revisions over and over and over again with the producer of the piece. Um, yeah, so things like that. Those were and I would, getting nominated for a sports Emmy is like, uh, it's great. It's great, but like, we do that. We're doing that work day in and day out every day, and just because someone else said this one's good enough to be for this, is it's great. It's amazing, and it's very nice to be able to put on my resume. But yeah, we do that work every day.
and then you going to the Emmys not being a big huge sports fan, where others are like, damn it, Rob, like you're going to the Emmys, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know. It's I can't make it up. It's sometimes I pinch myself. I'm like, man, I'm so, got to be grateful for,
yeah.
just like saying yes, even though, oh man, I'm not a really big sports fan. I'm gonna be surrounded by all these sports producers. What if someone gets, corners me in the court quick? Who's the starting lineup of the New York Giants? Oh no, like they found me out. I'm not a sports fan. Like shun this man. No, it like the last thing that people that that do sports all day every day is want to talk about sports. So these people want to tell stories. That's what our common ground was. They want to tell human stories, and yeah, and it was my job to help soundtrack it.
I love it. We do have some people on our call here tonight that have Paramount contracts and create original score of music for the Paramount library to be used for video games or movies or commercials. So you obviously had a company similar that was submitting music and that you were able to pull from to place.
Right, yeah, and MIB actually I think is still part of the PML, the Paramount Music Library. Yeah, we I've worked with them before. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. I love it. So after you worked there, what do you is there another move after that?
Yeah, another move. I got another one of those kind of opportunities that presented itself, but I got contacted cold on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, we're trying to build this startup. It's a connected fitness startup, and the company's based in China, but they want a U.S. version of it, and they need someone to head up their music team." And what we did was I did basically what I do at the companies I've been working for up to that point was I would manage the relationships with all the music providers. We create playlists for all of the content in the mirror. So this was it was called Fitcher, and Fitcher is like the equivalent of Peloton in China, and they wanted to expand. So now, I have the mirror actually behind me right here. I haven't fired it up in a minute, but yeah, we created a whole bunch. We had over 130, like over 1,000 pieces of original content. In various modalities, in yoga and stretch and Pilates and strength training, and we would soundtrack, work with the instructors, the talent, to create their music playlist. And a lot of that is, this was new for me too. Like all these music playlists are to the beat. They're on time because these people are working out to that. So it's like it was a different kind of content, and I was really excited about that. I saw Peloton's meteoric rise, and I was like, well, maybe I can get on my rocket ship. That'd be fun. Unfortunately, the that company came a little too late to the game, and the COVID boom kind of was on the tail end. So I spent a year there, and then at the end of the year, they were like, "Hey, you did a great job, fantastic, but we're shutting down." So I got a free mirror out of it.
You got a rocket ship on maybe a few trips to China, and then that was time to move on after that. And
After that,
again, yeah, but it is a great example of sometimes you take that opportunity and sometimes it doesn't always pan out. But you cannot blame you for trying to put your cards all in when you saw exactly what Peloton did. And obviously, if it's huge in China, there's a big market in China. So you do that, doesn't work. What do you come back to?
so yes, now I'm, in my mid 30s. I have two kids. I have a mortgage. I have responsibilities, and I don't have a job. And I'm like, okay, like what here it is. Like This was all, all those years of like people around me saying, you want to work in music? That's not really stable. Like, oh no. And it all started to come into my head like, oh no, look, it was gonna hit you eventually. But I was furloughed for 5 weeks, and then I was luckily picked up by a lovely company called Marmoset Music. So if you're following along, team, I kind of ping pong back and forth between buyer and seller. So I was in CBS, I was a buyer of music, and then I went to MIB and I was a seller, and then I went to Fitcher and I was a buyer again, and now I'm a seller. So I work here at Marmoset. They're based in Portland. I work on the East Coast team with two colleagues of mine, and I'm on the business development team. So we're flying. We handle all of the East Coast and Europe, and so I'm going to London. We're going to Amsterdam later this year. We go to Boston. We're in New York City all the time, and I'm again with my old friends at CBS Sports, and supplying them with music from our catalog, and still playing the game.
I love it. At this point, are you still composing your own music?
So I do have music out in the universe that does create royalties for me. I am not a composer. I my background is like I kind of like it's like equivalent to a project manager. I I move everything forward. I get the composer, I license the rights. My job right now is business development, so I'm working with all the Marmoset has a big stake in ad agencies. So we go visit the agencies, we visit the brands, we build relationships, and they come to us when they want to license music at an affordable price. Real music too. It's not production. It's all real artists out there working in the world. We manage about 35,000 copyrights, I believe, over 2,000 artists on our roster. We do custom composition. We do blankets. We do all sorts of things. Anything music related, we do it. And yeah, that's what I do.
So when a brand, let's say a Target, comes to you, are those the type of people that say, hey, we want a band that sounds like Black Keys, but we don't necessarily want to pay performance or royalties on on a huge artist? I know there are times where commercials do pick up major artists for their songs, and it's highly recognizable. There's also times where you have artists and they even and put on the bottom who the artist is. I'm sure that was maybe a special type of deal to get exposure for the music being played.
Yeah.
Um,
And
do they Go ahead?
advertising
Yeah.
break. I'm sorry to cut you off. Advertising now breaks artists too. Like those unsigned or unknown artists that get that big Target commercial. And that song really slaps. Like then all of a sudden their tour picks up, and all of a sudden then they get signed, and it's a jump start for them. So the answer to your question was, yeah, Target comes to us and says, hey, we're working on this new campaign for the fall, back to school or whatever. We want a song that sounds like this or feels like this. More times it's feel, because the brand may not be talking in musical terms, but they want it to feel like this, and they want it to sound like that. And here are some references that we really are gravitating towards. Can you find source something in your catalog that hits these beats? And then another part of the conversation is, here's the media plan. This is the territory it's going to air in. It's going to be on terrestrial television. It's going to be on social, paid and unpaid web. It's going to be on video on demand for a certain term. So term, territory, all the basics there of what the media plan is, and then that'll help us with the price of what we charge for the license. And yeah, that's what we do. We'll help them find the music that they want. And if they, oftentimes we're going up against steep competition. There's a lot of other companies that do what we do or work in the same space. And sometimes we win and sometimes we don't. That's just part of the game. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's what we do. When people want to come to our catalog to license something.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Target and that song like "Meet Me in the Middle." I don't know who sings it. Obviously, the hook, just those words alone, is great for a Target branded commercial.
Right.
I know it's somebody's main song because I've heard it on the radio. I just can't think of what comes to mind, but that "Meet Me in the Middle" part. I mean, sometimes it's just even the words, the wordplay that fits
Yeah.
with a certain brand that they're going with. Is there an artist that comes to mind that maybe an underground artist that you used that got that exposure and got that huge play through a brand? That you're just like, oh, that band is cool as can be, and they got that break.
Yeah, we have a lot of really cool artists on our roster that have done really well in sync. One that comes to mind is Money Cat. Definitely look them up. They're really cool, and they just get sync. They're the way they write and the way that they kind of craft their art. It's just perfect for big ads.
I love it. So every career has like these major, things that you just love, but there's also got to be something about the job where you're like, I got to deal with. What are the challenges that come with the job you do?
Yeah, I mean, anything becomes a job. No matter how much you love it, there's a point where it's like, oh man, I mean, on those days where we're getting back-to-back requests, just and the inbox is climbing up, and we don't have enough bandwidth to service everyone, or at least we don't feel like it. When turnaround times and deadlines are, they're constantly like, we need this in a couple hours. It's very hurry up and wait. This industry where hey, we need this in 10 minutes, but then we're not going to tell you if we're going to license it for another like 2 months. um, that's just there's a lot of for lack of a better term, like red tape. A lot of people, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You have the brand, you have the agency, you have multiple producers on each side. A lot of people to please and approve. So that kind of grind every day can wear on you.
Okay.
Um, Travel, I love to travel, but now I have two kids. Four, Oliver and Noah was 4 and 2. So, being away in London, away from my family, it could be nice, but after day 4, you're like, oh man, I want to get home, and I just want to be home.
Okay. So definitely a lot of travel. Um, how do you balance family time and work time?
Well, Marmoset is definitely very good at that. I work remote. The parent office is in Portland. I'm on the East Coast, along with my teammates. So, I'm lucky enough since COVID, where the work has become global instead of like you have to go into your office and clock your time and all that. Like, I'm lucky that I can when I'm not traveling, drop my kids off at daycare, pick them up, be with them, cook them dinner. I can, and I can multitask, and in between emails, I'm doing laundry and all that stuff. So, I mean, we do what we got to do.
I love it. Talk me through mentorship. Obviously, you're paying it forward, and you're sharing insight and nuggets of information on how to get into this field and sharing your career roadmap. Is there a mentor that comes to mind for you? Obviously, you got over to the CBS and you were able to change the game, but did somebody guide you and help you in that transition initially when you were in an internship? Does it go back to somebody at school? When I say mentor, who comes to mind?
Oh, a few people. My dad, the way he handled business and family life was always something I admired, the way he could kind of do both and kind of walk that balance. At CBS, my direct manager, as I mentioned, Susie was the first mentor, brought me in, and then her boss, Bruce Goldfeder, who now last time I saw he's working at Fox, but he um he was one of those kind of like, hey, I see something here, like, just, stay the course, put your head down, do the work, when, I'm gonna call on you eventually, and be there when I make the call, kind of thing. It's really really helpful. Um, Man, the list goes on. There are so many people that have helped me kind of walk this walk. Um, I know, whenever I can, like, as I said, I'm a product of an internship. So, whenever I can, give back, and either I used to run the internship program at MIB. Whenever I can talk to people coming up into this industry, I always jump at it, because, I don't know if I even took full advantage of my network at the time. Um, but maybe, looking back on it, like, you can kind of see the different people that kind of come here, like, pull you. And you can also see the people that push you too, like, away, like in the opposite, when you go like, oh, that's the opposite of, of what I think is right, or what feels good, and or like that's not the way you treat someone, and you kind of gravitate away from that, and I can see kind of like how it's pushed me where I am right now. But yeah, there's a lot of people along the way.
I love it. Let's talk about networking. Because you mentioned maybe not even having to tap into your full network. And we've had people in the past who said your network is your net worth, and everything is networking. Even we had a guest speaker a little bit ago who said, you're always on an interview. You never know who you are talking to. You always hold yourself in a certain way, in a positive way. And in this instance, this guy was wearing like an editing shirt, and went to a softball game, and then another parent was like, leave it all in the editing make. Like, are you an editor? And he was like, yeah. And that turned into like a really big corporate, editing job in the movie industry. And he just said, you never know. You're always on an interview, and you should treat every interaction with, you never know who's going to become your boss. You never know who's going to be that fulcrum that lifts you up and pushes you into a position that you're going to enjoy. So, how important has networking been for you?
Oh man, it's been everything. It's giving me my whole career, starting all the way back from, networking and befriending my fraternity brothers that had like-minded interests. We were all, a few of us were all in the music industry program. So being involved in my school, being involved with like clubs and extracurricular activities, then that which got me that hey, there's an internship open, I want you to apply to it. Just being in the right place, being in the right place at the right time is, I wouldn't say it's a myth, but kind of like what you said, like you're always on an interview, you always got to put your best foot forward, when you're talking to anyone. That's how these things, being in the right place at the right time, happens, when you present yourself like that all the time. And yeah, now in my job, networking, this industry, especially in the part that I'm in, is it's who and building relationships. Part of our mantra really at Marmoset is like, it's really building real relationships, going to where our clients are. That's why we fly to them. We're still very old school in that way, where we, multiple times a year, we go to see them and visit them, take them out to dinner, get to learn about their families, get to know what they like and dislike about the job, and what's going on in their personal lives. We're building relationships, and that's been everything in my career.
I love it. And one of the things you mentioned, being in the right place, right time, is it a myth? I think there is some definite connection to that right place, right time, but it takes someone like yourself with a strong growth mindset to take advantage of being in the right place at the right time. Because it's
Yeah.
very easy to go, I don't really like sports. I don't know if I could do this job. And you lose that opportunity. Or, the Peloton and not having the vision of, wow, what could this turn into? Um, those are all moves and it all in, when you look at that career roadmap, they're all calculated moves, all that come back to your mantra of saying yes and then figure it out later. um and if you have enough faith in yourself and in your skill sets, you're gonna figure it out. So I have to give you kudos again on having that strong growth mindset, and that is why employers want someone with a strong growth mindset versus that fixed, I don't know if I could do it. I haven't done it yet. Where you have it, I haven't done it yet, but I'm about to figure it out and be successful at it. So kudos again on that. My last question to you, and then I'm gonna open it up just if any of our listeners have questions. Um, what is the biggest piece of advice you would give to your younger self before the mortgage, before the kids, kind of going back in time? Is there anything you would have changed? Any personal advice you would have given to yourself uh, through your journey?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. I haven't contemplated this in a minute, but um it's tough because, even the setbacks still led me to like where I am, and I'm where I am right now is I feel very fortunate to be. But if I had to, give myself advice at this age, like I would have had more confidence in my abilities earlier. I think I spent a couple years um doubting, not having full confidence in myself, and actually, and this is how I feel. Maybe not how I acted, but like internally thinking, I don't know, like I don't know this, and I don't know if I can do it, and I don't, and being in that kind of closed mindset. And I wish that I kind of got with it a little earlier and just said, no, just like I said, say kind of this say yes. Um, I'm trying to think, like, everybody has gifts to give. Everybody has, lean into like your strong suit. Like I when I was, going back to like when I was a kid, like I was always the one putting people together. I was always the one. I started the band. I found the players. I brought them together. I signed the gig. I got the gigs. I got the recording time. I was always the one like pushing things forward. And I wish I could have, like, I don't know, monetized, but like I wish I could have recognized that value earlier. I didn't know what that was value. I thought that was just like, oh, my friends are lazy and they're high. Like like, do I? But I want to do it. I want to go record in the studio and I want to play that gig. And so but I all of those, I'll call them strengths now. All of them apply to what I do now.
Yeah.
I'm using those same kind of skills and same kind of soft skills, I guess, that I guess had when I was a teenager. Just like bringing people together, pushing things forward, making decisions, being very, I'm very I pride myself on kind of being able to make a decision and move forward instead of hemming and hawing and kind of in inaction. So there you go.
I love how you did mention that. All of the soft skills and the career skills that you had, you put them all into play, what you're doing now. The self-awareness, the communication, collaboration, um, the problem solving, the entrepreneurial mindset and thinking on how to generate. But not the alpha male, that's not the right the description, but I totally get you're the guy who gets the job done, and there always has to be someone who has those skills to become the leader, to get the team to do what the team needs to do. I think any band, if you ask anyone who's been in a band, it's almost like you got to deal with all the different personality styles, and that, like most bands battle it out. I think like a System of a Down where they beat each other up, with frustration, and can't release music. It takes somebody to be able to really do those inner workings of a band. That's why when any band has longevity, they've got good communication skills, or someone on the outside who's helping them all just kind of keep it fresh and keep going. But I love it. I think, even again, it comes back to your mindset of, would I change some of those things that, and I don't want to call it a failure, but the thing from China not working, it is true. You have to learn from things that don't go right to make things go right.
Yeah.
And, who's to say that you wouldn't be in your current position if that took off, right? Like, so everything does happen for a reason. I do think, again, coming back to being in the right place, the right time, but again, you got to make the most of your time and your opportunity. So on that note, speaking of opportunity, let's see who's going to be brave enough to ask a question and get some advice and mentorship. Clemente, I see your hand up first, and then I'll come to Presley.
Hello, Rob.
Hey.
So my question is, as a music supervisor, I'm interested in learning more about your process for selecting music for projects, particularly when incorporating music from celebrities. Could you elaborate on the steps involved in choosing the perfect song for a specific scene?
Yeah. A lot of the time it's not up to me. Going back to my like earlier career at CBS, like a lot of it I was taking my skills and like what I learned from being in bands and playing with with a group. Um, you know, it's tough. Like most of the time nowadays, it's not up to me. I'm just trying to find what someone else wants. And it's and luckily I'm looking in my catalog of music that we represent. So a lot of times where we kind of break it down and like maybe the client is gravitating towards a certain key or a certain instrument. Maybe they're really liking the way that guitar sounds in that reference, and we want to try to match that with something that we have. So we'll start with okay, let's get in the same genre. Maybe it's vocal, maybe it's the vocal performance, like they really like that particular male vocal. Let's find something similar to that. Maybe it's a lyric. It all depends on the project. Very rarely am I in the seat where I'm deciding what this project is. That's up to the producer of the content we're creating. We're just helping them find it.
Perfect. Great question, Clemente. Presley,
You're
go
welcome.
ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Rob. I just want to have a quick question with you. I know you're part of, doing music compositions, and I was wondering, have you ever want to do like film scores during your career in the future?
Yeah, we've had I haven't done it a lot, film scoring, but I've had been involved in some capacity. We a lot of times it's a song for a film that they want to find, that's already pre-recorded most of the time. Very few times have I been involved in it, like scoring a film. That's a whole nother ball of wax. That's like a whole, that's like spotting sessions and lots of revisions, and that's a whole different world. But maybe when I was a kid, I said I wanted to be a music supervisor for film, and I've kind of gravitated more in sports and TV. But hey, I'm still young. We'll see.
There you go. Again, growth mindset. Sometimes you just got to take opportunities and be up to challenges. Isaac, I see your hand. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
No, I just wanted to say a comment that I that you mentioned the song "The Middle" earlier.
Yes.
I actually do know who made that song.
Who does that song?
Zed and Maren Morris.
There you go. So,
Oh, there it is.
yeah, that's definitely a probably a very expensive clearance, I would say.
Oh yeah.
So that's top dollar. Christian, I see your hand up. Go for it and ask your question.
Hey Rob, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, because you were talking about, I guess, sort of, I was really sort of captivated when you talked about specifically your kind of role when you were younger as sort of like organizing everybody, getting all your lazy friends to work and kind of accomplish stuff. I can relate to some capacity. But I just wanted to, I guess, ask, like, how would you recommend going from just sort of a musician or kind of like informal kind of organizer of people to really being like a true kind of dot connector and like, I don't know, I guess like career maker, that sort of thing.
I would say, if you want to get into like more involved in my industry, there are a lot of organizations. One of them is this it's called AMP. Look them up. You can go to these events, you can go to these conferences, and that's where you're going to be in a room with all of the people that are decision makers in whether they're working for a publisher, a record label, a music agency, artists, what have you. The intersection of really like commerce and art and being able to just be a fly on that wall. And actually no, don't be a fly on the wall. Like go to these events and strike up a conversation and be genuinely interested in who you're talking to, because you never know who that person is going to be. You can go on LinkedIn and you can find, if I could do it again, like, and I had like that like real gunner attitude, like you can go to like find music supervisors that are doing the work and offer to do that work, help them for free, whatever it may be, like just to shadow them, to help with maybe the work that they don't enjoy as much, maybe more admin work, and just learn from them, learn by just being around them. And there's trust me, like there are plenty of them out there that could use a helping hand. And there are people out there that want to impart knowledge too, that want to mentor. So it goes back to like kind of like finding a mentor, or like recognizing a mentor like person in your life, in the place you want to go. Find out where you want to go, and then start offering help.
Thank you.
Perfect. I love it. And again, great, solid advice. And thinking about being able to go back right now and use those connections and those tools, you guys got a lot right at your fingertips. When Rob and I were in this industry, there was no LinkedIn, right? Like we were able to connect with LinkedIn. There's so much stuff that you can do and reach out to individuals like Rob. It's a great way. And just like Rob said, offer to work and to help and bring value to a company, they're going to see your value. And maybe it's your young mind with technology that they didn't think of, and again, you solve that problem like Rob did over at CBS. I guarantee you everyone's getting paid now on time. So very vital part of the industry. Rob, with that, I want to thank you again for making time for us tonight, paying it forward, sharing your career roadmap, extremely informative. Love the growth mindset again. If there's anything you guys take from this conversation, is how important being confident within yourself and taking on opportunities and challenges that maybe push you out of your comfort zone. That's okay. Sometimes being outside of the comfort zone is when you are going to do your best work. So on that note, just want to thank you again for time tonight, Rob. Have a great rest of your time. Continued success in your career.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It was an absolute pleasure to talk with you guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
As we conclude another enriching episode, we hope you found inspiration in the stories shared today. Let's take a moment to honor Yes I Can's role in bringing Breaking the Biz to life. Yes I Can's commitment to empowering young people with disabilities through education, advocacy, and mentorship shines brightly, paving paths of opportunity and dialogue. This podcast celebrates the organization's dedication to nurturing talent and facilitating impactful discussions. Breaking the Biz is more than a podcast. It's a part of Yes I Can's broader mission to amplify voices, dismantle barriers, and craft a world that's more inclusive and accessible for everyone. Each episode is a chapter in our shared narrative of progress, education, and empowerment, driven by the spirit of Yes I Can. Thank you for spending your time with us on Breaking the Biz. Continue to challenge the status quo and share stories that resonate. Until our paths cross again, let's keep transforming aspirations into achievements and infuse every endeavor with optimism. Here's to advancing the landscape of the entertainment industry, one episode at a time. I'm your host, William Felber. See you next time.